Shea Theodore joins the injury list. He's day-to-day following his departure from the ice in Tuesday's game against Edmonton. How will his absence affect VGK's defense?
You're Locked On Golden Knights, your daily podcast on the Vegas Golden Knights, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Hi again, everyone. Tony Cardasco along with Chris Golick. We thank you for tuning in. Thanks for making us your first listen each and every day. You can find us on Twitter at Tony Dasco, at TD Chris G, at Lockdown VGK, and please subscribe to the YouTube channel, Locked On Golden Knights. Well, Chris, defenseman Shea Theodore did not make the trip to San Jose. He's out with an injury. It was sustained allegedly against the Oilers on Tuesday. Ben Hutton will be skating at Theodore's place, probably on the third pairing with Nick Hague. And also on Wednesday, Braden Pahal was brought up from Henderson for perhaps just a one-off game tonight in San Jose. Bruce Cassidy said that Caden Korzak, which I did not know, would have probably been the next man up, but he's out and he's injured. So now let's talk about Theodore. What does his absence mean?
Means a lot. I mean, you look at the problems this team was experiencing, go back to just pre-All-Star break and all the troubles that they had without Theodore, without that first breakout pass, without the ability to rush the puck, without the power play ability. I mean, we can go on and on and on explaining what Theodore means to this defense. He might be of the same or even greater importance at times than Alex Pietrangelo. Maybe he doesn't play 38 minutes a game like Pietrangelo, but, as far as him, Theodore rounds out the defense. He completes the defense, right? All the players, they have their roles, they have their things that they do, but Shea Theodore might be the most skilled is a word I would cautiously use, because Pietrangelo is just absolutely amazing at what he does, but Shea Theodore I think is even a notch higher at times for what he brings to both sides of the ice and more or less even on the offensive side. So it's an unfortunate situation right now. Still trying to figure out what happened, right? You watch the game, there wasn't a hit, there wasn't a thump. Like, I don't think it's a concussion thing. I mean, I don't know. It's another speed bump to deal with as this season winds down right now.
Do you feel maybe perhaps it was a non-contact injury, but I thought you said it might be an upper body injury? It could have been a concussion.
No, I have no idea. I have no idea.
Right.
I mean, it's, we were talking after the game, right? Because we all heard the announcement at the start of the third, Shea Theodore will not return to the game up in the press box. You're like, okay. After the game on the elevator downstairs to go to the funeral, so to speak, we were all talking like, hey, do you see what happened? Do you see what happened? No idea. So my main hope is precautionary. It's, at the time, at least precautionary. They're down so many goals. Let's not farther anger whatever this injury is. And unfortunately, it's more than a little Aiden Hill to climb, so to speak, right now.
Okay. So I have to ask you, do you think that there is currently the necessary depth to survive in the playoffs? So they have defensively with the defensemen. So with the blue liners, do you think that they have enough depth currently that could get them through should one player go down or two?
I mean, it depends on the player. If Nick Hague goes down, it's a lot easier to stomach than Pietrangelo. I think that's the first point that I'll make. And then you look at the record, this team is basically a tick above 500 when any part of our bottom six is not on the roster for a Knights. When all six defensemen, our top six, are on, we are top in the West, possibly one of the top teams in the NHL. So I think it's important to realize that before you answer the question. Can they still get through a playoff series or two? Sure. Can they win a Stanley Cup if, let's say Shea Theodore or Alex Pietrangelo cannot, play at any point in the playoffs? Let's just talk about worst case scenario. Then You put that in the same blender with the Riley Smith situation, with the Mark Stone situation, with the Will Carrier situation, with the Logan Thompson situation, with the Aiden Hills situation. I think that's all of them, right? Okay.
Pretty much.
So, this team has depth to do a lot of great things, but what is that? 6 players I just mentioned, and 6 pretty good players too.
Right. Braden Pahal, 9 games, 2 assists with VGK this season, but he hasn't been up with the big guys since January the 7th, I think, against the Kings. And will there be a lot more pressure on a player like Pahal than there was back on January 7th? It seems evident, right? But if he does have to play when he comes in, this is the playoff push, and this is essentially the next few games, the final games of this season. It is playoff time for the Vegas Golden Knights.
Yeah, no doubt. And it's funny you mentioned that. Kind of going to jump a segment a little bit here, but Cassidy in his presser talking about the games or the teams are going to be playing and upcoming. He mentions the Minnesotas and he mentions the Nashvilles and I think he said Calgary. I don't think we have any more games against them.
No, yeah, we don't.
He mentioned all these teams
that
are
nightmares against Calgary in case they make the playoffs, I think.
There you go. But he's mentioning all these teams that are trying to make a playoff push. They're playing the San Jose Sharks tonight. He didn't mention a word about San Jose, so this scares me. I feel like they're maybe looking past
trap game.
Yeah,
you think so? It's coming, huh?
Yeah. And San Jose just did well against Calgary the other night, right? They shut him out
against Winnipeg.
Pardon me.
Winnipeg. So Ben Hutton, 23 games this season, 3 points, a couple of goals. He hadn't played for VGK in 2 months. So before he stepped on the ice and he replaced Theodore the other night, 2 months out of the lineup. And so they're going to have some chemistry issues. You would have to believe there. Again, the bottom 6, that has to be a little bit of a concern, not just tonight, but did they play tonight? San Jose. Okay,
we're not even.
Okay, sort of. And then for Minnesota, with the back-to-back, with a sandwich game or 2 in between, they're going to need him. They're going to need Hutton down on that bottom pairing.
Yeah, I mean, however they decide to chop it up. And listen, Hutton's been in this spot for a long time. He knows the role, and he can do the role. Unfortunately, there's a sizable gap from what Hutton to Shea Theodore brings to the table, but Hutton is serviceable. This is why he's here. The VGK depth, it's just crazy. Like last week, right? It's everything's all great, right? The nice 4-game win streak, 3 tough games on the road. Edmonton comes in and just thumps us, and you got a new injury to deal with, and just the mindset, like and we've both been around sports long enough. Tony, you've been doing this in a professional level for a long time, I believe, and allegedly. Well, fair enough. And I've, been around this for, whether on the podcast or, back in my franchise days for about the last 3 or 4 years now. And, you learn just to kind of try and stay in the middle and keep other people from, going off the ledge about flipping out when things happen. But, you start looking at things in the big picture, and it could go either way really, really fast right now. Really, really fast. I mean, let's just, doomsday scenario. Jack Eichel gets hurt tonight. Holy XYZ, blah, 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 and something crazy like that happens. And, or Pietrangelo, like this is nervous times right now for the next, 7 games, I think, something like that. Yeah. So
7.
basically that's 2 weeks or so until the playoff clock starts. And, you really, Riley Smith and Shea Theodore, if we can find any way to get them back, I'll feel a heck of a lot better when that playoff calendar starts.
Do we know what's up with Caden Korzak? What that injury?
No, I have no idea.
He said Cassidy said he was playing pretty well, and he would have been the next man up, but he's not available. So
yeah, Korzak. I mean, he's got a future on the big club, depending on what happens next season. There's going to be a lot of roster shuffling, as there always is year over year. And Korzak is probably our next young. I think he's ahead of Pahal, honestly.
Oh yeah, he's ahead of Pahal, but now he's not available. So coming up next, we will preview VGK against a team that Bruce Cassidy does not want to acknowledge. San Jose.
Most
Sharks.
Vegas fans don't either, to be fair, though, so he's not that far off.
We'll return with more after this on Locked On Golden Knights. No matter how the last game went, anytime that you take the field or you take the ice, you've got a shot at greatness. Give your team the best shot of winning by recruiting more MVPs with Indeed. And if you're hiring, you need Indeed, because Indeed is the hiring partner where you can attract, where you can interview, and you can hire all in one place. And Indeed is the only job site where you are guaranteed to find quality applicants that meet your must-have requirements, or else you just don't pay. Instead of spending hours on multiple job sites hoping to find candidates with the right skills, you need one powerful hiring partner that can help you to do it all. And Indeed partners with you every step of the hiring process. You could find a lot of talent through time-saving tools like Indeed Instant Match, assessments, and virtual interviews. With Indeed Match, as soon as you pay a sponsorship fee or you want to sponsor a post, you get a short list of quality candidates with resumes on Indeed that will match your job description, and you can invite them to apply right away. Plus, you only pay for the quality applications that meet your must-have requirements. So it makes it a lot easier, and Indeed delivers 4 times more hires than any and all of the other job sites combined. That's according to Talent Nest. And you can join more than 3 million businesses worldwide that use Indeed to hire great talent fast. So start hiring right now with a $75 sponsored job credit to upgrade your job post at Indeed.com/lockedon. The offer is valid through tomorrow, 31st. So go to Indeed.com/lockedon to claim your $75 credit before March 31st. Indeed.com/lockedon. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? You need Indeed. Welcome back to Locked On Golden Knights. Tony Cardasco and Chris Golick. We come to you from Las Vegas each and every morning, Monday through Friday. Find us wherever you find your podcast, and make sure that you subscribe to the YouTube channel. That's Locked On Golden Knights. So, Chris, VGK attempting to secure a playoff berth tonight with a win in San Jose. 7 games remaining, as you mentioned. Will the Sharks, are they going to try to step up? Are they going to try to be spoilers? Or are they going to try to get back on track in Tanksville after a surprising victory against Winnipeg the other night?
Oh, listen, the Sharks, there's nothing better for a team having a tough time still beating their rival, right? I lived through this as a Blackhawks fan in the, early 2000s, one of the few clowns actually paid money to go watch that team and stuff like that, and had season reservations, as dollar old man Bill Wirtz referred to him as. And the only thing you ever had going for you in that time, in the pre-Patrick Kane, Jonathan Toews era, was when Detroit came to town. Detroit, they had that long playoff streak, Stanley Cup runs, and, but Chicago would play Detroit well every time the teams matched up. So, that was the one thing we had going for you, right? There'd be 8,000-9,000 people in the United Center, right? And then all of a sudden, Detroit comes to town, and the United Center is one of the only 2 buildings that's actually larger than T-Mobile Arena. Maybe a little known fact amongst some of our hockey fans here. And Detroit comes, a good mix, like Edmonton the other night, right? You got a good mix of Detroit and Chicago fans going up and back. You got the Hawks fans yelling, "Let's go Hawks!" Or no, sorry, you got the Wings fans starting their Wings chant, and then you got the Hawks fans yelling, "Detroit sucks!" And it was a good time. So we're gonna get a game tonight, definitely. At least they're gonna try to bring a game. Vegas needs to be ready. This is not a throwaway game. This is not a fluff game. This is not a game that Vegas can just show up and just hope to win just because they're the Vegas Golden Knights. They gotta do their job. They have to correct some of the things that Cassidy was mentioning in his post-game presser and stuff he was talking about yesterday. And I found it a little surprising. It was literally right before he went out. I was watching Cassidy's presser from yesterday, and Cassidy was concerned about the effort against Edmonton. Mm-hmm. Fine. Okay. It was a bad game. I'll buy into that. You had that great road trip. The last game they played was Saturday. They had Sunday, they had Monday, and they had, all day and a half of Tuesday to get better. Oh, there's fatigue in this team. They needed a day off of practice after that game Tuesday. And I just see it like I get it. I know we're in game 75, whatever it is right now, but you got that many games off. Like, I don't know. If there's one thing I'll question if things don't go well in the end is the practice habits of the team.
Oh, the practice habits.
The practice habits. I will. It's, and again, I'm just throwing this out there. You don't think
they got it right at this juncture of the season? You don't think that they finally figured things out on how to practice, what to do, when?
I think that's it wasn't just today though, Tony. It was during the season. Like, I just feel like every time I'm looking at my phone randomly, and from LV, or God, it's my old corporate thing, from from the PR communications, it would always be, oh, off day today, or maintenance day, or optional day, and
Optional skate day,
all you
more
see are the AHL call ups out there. So
yeah.
again, I have no data right now. It's just what the eye test is right now, and we'll
But
see what happens.
At this time of year, you do have to start to wind down, and you try to preserve as much as you can.
This is a vet team. It's very fair. It's very fair.
San Jose, they had lost 9 straight before they surprisingly won against Winnipeg. So they still do have a pulse. They are fighting for the bottom spot here in the Connor Bedard sweepstakes. That was their first win, by the way, at home since February the 20th, the other night.
But they beat, oddly enough, Seattle. So they only win home games when they shut teams out, apparently.
The big surprise, Erik Karlsson with a terrific season. He has 91 points, shooting for 100, and a Norris favorite now.
Yeah, I mean, Karlsson, I've mentioned this a couple times now. He is so much fun to watch, and I never remember seeing this version of him in the past. But just the way he works the blue line, like Golden Knight fans, if you can somehow ISO on Erik Karlsson when the camera allows you to, watch the way he works that blue line, watch the way he keeps the pucks in the zone. And one of the most important things outside of securing the blue line for defensemen when they're on the offensive side of the blue line, that is finding a way to get an angle to the nets. You can't just, spray and pray all the time. You have to move, laterally a little bit before you can fire the puck onto the net. And he's one of the best there is at just finding these little soft spots. They're not hard slap shots. They flutter, right? They flutter. They're just little shots that kind of sneak through a couple legs. You hope to hit a stick, you hope to deflect, and it creates a high danger scoring chance. And there's really no one better on, there's him, Roman Yossi, and players of that regard before you get into the next tier, where's players such as Shea Theodore, Cale Makar. You mentioned Cale Makar, that upper echelon too.
Yeah, I was going to say, don't leave out Cale Makar. They're going to probably go with a lot more youth down the stretch. One of their top prospects, William Eklund, is out. He's day-to-day. Probably will make a miraculous recovery to play tonight. They signed yesterday, did the Sharks, Nikolai Kanishov, and they signed him to a 2-year extension. But what's surprising about him is that he's been out for a couple of years. And so he's finally getting back, and they just see an upside to him. He's been injured and out for 2 years. Who's this guy think he is? Robin Lehner?
Mark Stowaway.
Mark Stowaway, perhaps.
I thought you were going to say that, Tony. That's why I just had it queued up just in case. Eklund, he looked so good, and he's going to be a great NHL player. He's someone when I'm running my business, we're opening cards that have his rookie cards in them right now, and he's certainly one of the next level of chasers outside of your top tiers and stuff like that. But I still remember just a couple amazing goals out of Eklund in the preseason, and you're watching ooh, okay, there's something here with this guy. There's something here with this guy, and the Sharks are going to have something, I think, down the line with him.
Yeah, and if they get, I still have this really strange suspicion that Bedard, via the rigging system, will wind up on the West Coast, and he'll probably wind up
Arizona.
Tony.
He's gonna. I hate
or
this.
San Jose.
I even hate this. No, Arizona needs a building. Arizona needs an identity. They need not to play in a college dorm. And there's no way, shape, or form that anyone in Arizona, look at what the Coyotes started as, right? They started in Phoenix. Things were okay down there. They moved them out to Glendale. It went to poop really, really fast. And now they're playing in a college dorm, having to share a rink and stuff like that. For that has 5,000 people there. There's no way, shape, or form anyone in Arizona is going to sign off on something unless Connor Bedard's coming. And that drives me nuts. That angle, your thing with the scheduling, I think this is 1,000 times worse, where if Bedard does wind up in Arizona, that there's some of the dry ice on the envelope when they're pulling out the stuff. You know what I mean, Tony?
Absolutely. And so
you know what I mean, Tony, being a Knicks fan.
So that's good. So they still do have Logan Couture still. Again, they could be a threat at times. Thomas Hurdle's still there. Kevin LeBlanc is still there. They have I think 5 or 6 players, including Alexander Barabanov on the IR. So they don't have a full roster, but I don't know if they play to win tonight. I think they might have gotten a call from ownership.
This is the one game they'll play to win, Tony. This is the one game.
You think
No, they
after
play in the
tonight,
tank. They play in the tank. They don't need the tank. I'm
after
mixed up.
tonight, you think then that's it, Tanksville?
Oh,
After
I
tonight.
think. I mean, listen, the players, once they put their jersey on, no one's tanking on the ice. Now, the general manager and is putting a team together that they hope tanks at times, but the players, even Sharks players, guys, you have to give credit to the fact that they are passionate. They are NHL players. You have your, starting with you mentioned LeBlanc, you mentioned Tomas Hertl and stuff like that. They're passionate. They're passionate Sharks players. They're passionate for the fans, and they want to give the fans, their money's worth, so to speak. And you got rookies. You mentioned Eklund injured, unfortunately, but players along those lines who are looking to get noticed, looking to make their mark, and they're going to give VGK a game. I don't think VGK is going to walk in there and blow this one out. We'll save that for the third segment, obviously, but they're going to give us a game tonight. They'll give VGK a game tonight.
Coming up next, we will have our locks of the night, and it'll be prediction time when we return right here on Locked On Golden Knights. We've got the Final Four in the NCAA tournament. The perfect time now to download FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, because new customers get a no-sweat first bet up to $1,000, and that's bonus bets back if your first bet does not win. So just simply join. You can download FanDuel, the sportsbook app. Safe, secure, and super easy to use. Then you can bet on everything from the money line to the point scores and three-pointers drained. And you could have the player props, player points, rebounds, assists, etc. Plus, FanDuel lets you combine your bets for a chance at a bigger payout with the same game parlay. So don't miss the chance to get your no-sweat first bet, and it's up to $1,000 in bonus bets when you go to FanDuel.com/LockedOn. That's FanDuel.com/LockedOn to learn more. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sports betting partner of the National Basketball Association. Welcome back to Locked On Golden Knights. Tony Cardasco and Chris Golick from Las Vegas, of course. And you could find us wherever you get your podcast. Go to our Twitter handle, of course. At TD Chris G, that's him. I'm at the other guy, or at Tony Dasco, at Locked On VGK. And please subscribe to that red hot YouTube channel. And that is Locked On Golden Knights, and tell your friends. And do you have any other shout outs of our listeners, followers today? I know you would like to give shout outs, and that's really cool.
Rita was fun again. Let's give Rita another one. Let's give Rita another one. Rita was awesome.
Was very happy yesterday. That was.
She does have the best calls, guys. I'll say this again. Rita does have the best phone calls after the Golden Knights games, win, lose, or draw. It will comfort
they don't have draws
you
anymore. There's no more draws.
Fair enough. Win, lose, or
win
middle.
Or lose.
Win, lose, or don't
win,
play.
Lose, or bad ice.
Rita will make you feel better about the situation no matter what.
Okay. It is that time.
The sky is not falling. That's her quote. The sky is not falling. It's perfect. It's perfect.
Okay. She'll like my predictions tonight, but every time I pick VGK to win, they get mad at me then. I can't win. Like, no matter who I pick.
So you go first. VGK, you go first. Just get it over with.
Why did you go with the Golden Knights? 4-2 VGK. That's my prediction tonight. James Reimer had 41 saves the other night. He won't be that effective tonight. So I'm not sure about this San Jose team if they even show up tonight, but I think it'll be a pretty easy game. If VGK, you know what they have to do again, get off to the first goal, the quick start in a game like this, and then just kind of play defense the rest of the way if they can.
That's fair. I'm with you on the same score. I like 4-2 VGK. That's what I wrote down before you said yours. And like I said, I don't think it's a runaway though. Like I could see it's a 1-0 game, right? San Jose even ties it up, and then it's a 2-1 and a 3-1 type game, and then maybe an empty net, whatever. I don't think it's a rout. I don't think it's necessarily a game where you feel like it's in the balance though either. Like it's just kind of one of those. If it's a boring victory that the team escapes without any friggin' new injuries, it'll be a good night.
Okay, one thing I feel that Bruce Cassidy is going to work on tonight for tonight's game, face-offs. They were not very good against the Oilers. Draisaitl was, what did he win? He was like 10-2.
Oh God, we talked about that. Yeah, no, me and Spector were talking about that. He was 9-1 at one point or something crazy like that. Yeah, it's tough. And like Chandler Stevenson, like we hit him the other day. Oh, we lost him. Chandler Stevenson, we talked about him the other day. The one thing Stevenson had for such a long time, and maybe he is still up there, I haven't looked recently, but Chandler Stevenson was a tops at the NHL for one point. in faceoffs and always in the top 3, top 4. And, now that's not happening, unfortunately. So, yeah, I'm with you on that.
Yeah, it's going to be a key.
Especially in the playoffs when puck possession, time of possession is of critical importance.
That's good. Yeah, people think that we prepared that whole situation there. We didn't.
Oh, God, no.
That topic, no, we don't prepare. No. You said Chandler Stevenson, and I say Chandler Stevenson, one of my 2 locks of the night.
You can have
tonight.
him. I don't want him.
Wow, you think he's playing that poorly, huh?
I think he's playing that poorly. I think he's playing that poorly is a very kind way of putting it. I think that if we had a full, healthy roster right now, he'd be consideration to be in Scratchville.
Okay. Any more line shuffles, do you think, for Cassidy here in the next 7 games?
They were shuffling him a little bit. I was talking to Alex with Cinnamon the other day, actually, who's over at a place I do a lot of business with, fun guy to interact with. But he was mentioning Nick Wow was kind of being shuffled through up around the lineup and stuff, and Stevenson was moved in and out around the wing and the game. I mean, you got to find a way to get Stevenson going right now, but you can't do it at the expense of disturbing what else is happening right now either. Line 1, I think that's our line 1 until Mark Stone comes back, and then maybe some decisions get made. I still like the line as is, but that's the only player that's going to offer consideration for anything that might change in that line. That's the only thing I'm saying. Outside of that, I mean, Dorofeev, is this train going to keep going? I don't see it stopping. I mean, he hit the post again I don't know if it's on the power play, but he had a post early on in the game against Edmonton. I thought he was there.
Yeah, no, he's very accurate, and he's very active in front of the net. The other player that I'm going to go with is Jack Eichel, because I have to stay on the Eichel train down the stretch. I think he's going to be a key component, and he's starting to play. I just have that feeling he's starting to take on more of a leadership role. He's starting to understand the system better. I think he's playing better defense at times, and I just think that they're going to have to build and continue to grow around Eichel. I really do.
Oh, McCrimmon is still all in on Eichel. I mean, that hasn't changed. Just we haven't had to talk about it a lot because things are going well. But what needs to possibly be mentioned again is some of the older players, and there's some injuries down the stretch and stuff like that gets tied highly to McCrimmon right now. So when things are going well, you got to give McCrimmon a big pat on the back. When things are a little nerve-wracking, that's when you start peeling a couple layers back and wondering, about the longevity of the roster. And, hopefully there's enough longevity to get us through the next couple of weeks or so. As far as my picks, you got Stevie and Eichel. I like Marchessault to keep going where he left off. I'll take the last day of Marchessault Madness, Madness availability. So their eligibility. So we're going to go Marchessault and Pietrangelo. Those 2 were doing very well against Edmonton. And I think they're going to continue and possibly take over this game and not allow the Vegas Golden Knights to fall behind or lose in this one.
In a game like this tonight, we've seen this in the past. It's sort of a big game, and again, they could clinch a playoff.
It is an important game. I'm down on San Jose all the time, guys, but I'm giving San Jose credit for showing up tonight.
Let's see if they. Well, I think it's more on VGK not coming out flat or not
overthinking
this game. That's in the past in games like this. It's a concern. It's just a little bit of a concern. Not so much on San Jose trying to win, but what will VGK be like, and what will their mood be like when
VGK's got to stay out of their own way, guys. Let's be clear. VGK, if they show up and do what they're supposed to do, this game won't be in the balance long. But San Jose is not just going to put their jersey on and beer league skate it to get through a game.
Okay, coming up tomorrow, it is that time. Is there already the Friday time tomorrow? Yeah. So, okay. Oh, you're loading up as we talk.
I know. I had like 6 of them last week. This time I got 0 so far. I'm not going to lie.
You have a bunch. No, you said you were going to talk about one the other day, and you said, "Oh, I got to hold off something." You were mad about something. So in any event,
probably whatever.
Yeah, and we'll have a recap of whatever game or whatever becomes of
too many goals. That's what I was mad about.
We'll talk to you tomorrow right here on Locked On Golden Knights. For my man Chris Golick, I'm Tony Cardasco. Have a great day and tune in tomorrow. Make sure that you subscribe to the YouTube channel Locked On Golden Knights.
Please, yes.
And we'll see you again tomorrow. Take care.